how can you, as a turnkey rental property investor, confirm all of the numbers that are given to you on a pro forma for a property from a turnkey provider? So you decide on a turnkey provider that you want to invest with, and you see a supply of properties, and with each property, they offer you a pro forma full of numbers. Those numbers, obviously, they're going to say how much the property costs, but they're going to include the income and expenses. Why do these matter? Because they contribute to your cash flow, which will contribute to your overall returns on the property. It's kind of the whole point. Now, as a good turnkey rental property investor, you know that you need to do thorough due diligence on all of the information given to you about a property, and you never want to take anyone's word for it, right? Right. So before I keep going, this video is specifically about the numbers, but the numbers are not the only things that are, well, I was about to say important, but critical for proper turnkey due diligence. For more information on the other items, including the numbers, I've linked to a video below, so you can click on that. And I've also created a very lengthy document that gives you explicit instructions on how you can verify all of those things. And the information I'm going to give you in this video is also spelled out in more detail in that document. So be sure to check out those links below. And if you're pretty stoked about learning more due diligence items, hit that thumbs up. So here we go. You are given the pro forma. How can you verify these things? Let's first start with the income, because that's kind of a standalone type of thing. The best thing you can do to check the income, which in this case is the amount of rent that the property is projected to collect, or in some cases is already collecting. Even if there's a tenant already in the property, you want to verify that what they're paying, or if it's not tenanted, what they're projected to pay, is in line with realistic numbers. How can you do that? The best thing is to run comps. You can do this in a variety of ways. You can use a program like RentFacts Pro. I'll link to that also below. It's a phenomenal program that helps you with overall due diligence, but it'll help you with those rental comps. You can call a real estate agent and ask them to run a CMA. And in this case, it would be a rental CMA, which is comparative market analysis. They may charge you a small fee to do it, but what they'll do is basically run all the comps for you and give you an idea of what they would assume this particular property could get. The third option, which I really like, probably more than doing a CMA, is call third-party property managers. Turnkeys come with their own property managers, but call someone totally separate and say, hey, you know, I think I'm thinking about buying this property, and I'm projecting that it could rent for such and such. You know, am I able to get your ideas or thoughts on it, and see what they say? Property managers and property management companies, they're the boots on the ground. They're in these neighborhoods all day, every day, and most of what they're doing is renting them out. So there's probably not going to be anyone better to give you a realistic idea of what that property should feasibly be able to get you in rent. So 3 options to verify the income: a program like RentFacts Pro, CMA from real estate agents, probably my least favorite of the options, and calling third-party property managers. Cool. Or you can do all of them. Do all of them and compare them to what the turnkey provider is suggesting. That's the income side. Now, the expense side. Honestly, there's not too many expenses, so all of these verifications can be pretty easy. Now, most of the expenses, the projected expenses, if you will, in the pro forma, can actually be verified. You can find out the actual numbers. There are 2, however, that you really can't get actuals because they're estimates: maintenance and repair estimates and vacancy estimates. Maintenance and repair, it's a little bit up to you how much you want to allocate towards that. If you're buying a turnkey rental property, in theory, it should come fully rehabbed and not expecting any CapEx for quite some time. So it should be in pretty good condition. This may vary. How cheap of one are you buying? How expensive? You know, use your own judgment on that. And if you need help, call the provider and ask them, you know, hey, I see that you use 5%, you know, can you give me your rationale behind that? And then kind of use that as a jumping off point. The other one is vacancy. And while you also can't get an actual number for that, you can talk to the property managers and say, hey, what are you guys seeing? How long are tenants typically staying in the property? Like, Are you going to have a turnover every year or every 2 years or every 3 years? Because that is going to help determine vacancy. And once the property is vacant, how long does it typically take you to find new tenants? So if they say, well, it takes us typically 45 days to get a new tenant, and the average tenant stay is 2 years. So if you use the assumption 45-day vacancy and every 2 years, you can kind of work that math out. Now, these pro formas are going to come with maintenance and vacancy percentages estimated in, hopefully. If you're working with a provider who doesn't offer that, that's fairly misleading. So there should be estimates in there. You can start with those numbers and stay with those numbers, but you can adjust them. So those are the only ones you can't get actuals. Now, the very simple ones you can get actual numbers on as your verification. Property taxes, super easy. Go to the county's tax assessor website, the county in which the property is located, type in the address, and it's going to tell you very clearly what the current property tax value is. Now, there's one more step you need to take, though, rather than just taking that number for gold, is depending on what state you're buying in, different states and different counties have different rules about property taxes. The question you want to ask the provider is that property tax amount going to change after I purchase the property? It might. It depends on how the tax basis is determined. So you want to just get confirmation to make sure that it's either going to stay at the amount that you see on the tax assessor website, or if it's going to change, you know exactly how it's going to change. So again, you can get the actual property tax amount. Number 2, insurance quotes. They're going to give you an estimated insurance quote, but at the time you're in due diligence, like you're really serious about this property and you're going forward, call your insurance person and get an actual quote. Go ahead and call them, get a couple of them if you want. If you already have an insurance company that you really like for your cars, maybe you have a primary house, whoever, call them up, give them the address, because you're going to have to set this up anyways. So call them up, get a quote. They're going to tell you exactly how much it's going to cost. There are sometimes insurance options through the property management companies or through their providers, because sometimes they have like portfolio options where they have a lot of properties, and so it gets kind of a discounted number. Some people offer that. So you could get a quote from your own insurance provider and ask if they have kind of a group insurance policy. I don't know if I really have a stance one way or the other on that. I like my insurance company, so I've never opted into one of those, but it is an option. So we have property taxes, insurance, we've gotten both of those. Property management fees, easy, call the property management company. And they typically charge a monthly fee, so you want to take that into account. But make sure you check on other fees, because if there are other fees built into the whole thing, maybe you want to up that percentage just for your own knowledge and being conservative in your pro forma. But for the most part, no number, monthly fee, end of story. HOA. Find out from the provider or the property management company if this particular property that you're pursuing is part of an HOA, homeowners association. And if it is, how much is that fee? Easy number to get. Utilities. Most turnkeys that you buy are probably, the tenants are going to cover your utilities, same with landscaping. But if you get like a duplex or a fourplex or something, you may, as the owner, end up being responsible for some of those utilities. So find that out from the provider. What utilities, if any, are you going to be responsible for? And what are they currently paying for those utilities? Because they own the property while they're working on it. Find out what they're actually paying. So we have property taxes, insurance, property management fee, HOA, if applicable, landscaping and utilities, if applicable. And then just ask the property managers if there are any other expenses on a regular basis that you should be expecting. But for the most part, that's all of them. And it's so key to get the actual numbers on these and not go off of estimates. Estimates are fine during your initial shopping wave and to narrow properties down. But once you're under contract for something, you really need to be getting those actuals. So make the couple of phone calls or go on the tax assessor website and just write down the actual numbers. It's just that simple. So I hope this helped you. If it did, I hope you're subscribed to this channel, because I want to keep helping you with videos. I release new videos every week. And again, if this was helpful, throw a thumbs up. It's super helpful.